My name is Jill Bowers, and I was 35 years old the Christmas I realized silence was the most expensive thing I'd ever paid for. We all agreed. No gifts this year. My mom said it twice in the family group chat, once with a smiling emoji, once without. Times are tight. Let's just focus on being together. My dad followed with a thumbs up, like it was a business decision already approved. I replied, got it, because that's what I always did. I kept things smooth. I kept things moving. By the time Christmas Eve came around, I'd convinced myself I was relieved. No gifts meant no awkward math, no quiet comparisons, no watching my kids try to look grateful for less. It meant cookies, board games, warmth. It meant I didn't have to brace myself, or so I thought. My boyfriend Evan drove while I balanced a round 10 on my knees in the passenger seat. The cookies inside were uneven, thick with icing, too many red sprinkles clumped in the corners. My kids had decorated them with the seriousness of surgeons. My daughter had insisted on symmetry. My son had gone full chaos. They don't look perfect, I'd said earlier. They're supposed to look like love, Evan replied, smiling without looking up from the stove. That line stayed with me longer than it should have. My parents' living room smelled like fake cinnamon and warm dust from the space heater they dragged out every winter. The tree leaned slightly to the left, like it always had. Nothing had changed. That should have been comforting. My kids kicked off their boots, already laughing, already lighter than I was. Evan squeezed my hand the second we stepped inside. He always did that when he sensed tension, before I admitted it to myself. Then my older sister Rachel arrived, 20 minutes late, sunglasses still perched on her head, hair perfectly styled like she'd just come from somewhere that mattered more. Her husband followed, phone already in his hand. Their kids burst in ahead of them, loud, charged, bouncing off furniture. Mom rushed past me to greet them. Dad didn't even look up from his recliner. I was shrugging off my coat when Mom stepped directly in front of me, blocking my way like she hadn't noticed she'd done it. She patted my chest, quick, familiar, proprietary. We all agreed not to do gifts this year, she said, voice crisp, smile tight. Let's not make this awkward. I didn't bring anything, I said evenly. Good, Dad added from across the room. No pressure. For a split second, relief washed through me. No gifts meant no scoreboard, no silent judging, just being there. Then Rachel clapped her hands. Okay, kids, she sang, presents. My stomach dropped so fast, I felt dizzy. Oh, just a small exception, Rachel said lightly, already crouching by the tree. From Santa. Mom didn't say a word. She moved a throw pillow instead. Like placement mattered more than principle. The first box was square. Their son ripped into it. An iPhone, the newest one. He screamed, actually screamed, like he'd been handed a miracle. The second gift was flat and wide. Their daughter peeled back the paper slowly, dramatically. VIP concert tickets. Front row. 3 nights. A pop star my daughter had drawn hearts around in her school notebook. Then came the big one. A gaming PC, lights pulsing when it powered on, glowing like something alive. For school, too, Rachel said with a shrug. The room erupted. Dad stood up for that one, hands behind his back, nodding like he was inspecting a car he planned to buy. Mom pressed a hand to her chest. Oh, Rachel, she said. She was smiling. My son stared at the iPhone box like it was a planet. Then he looked at his sister and whispered, "It's really bright." He paused. We can play with the box later, right? My daughter hugged the cookie tin tighter, her lip trembling in that way she hated anyone noticing. I felt my throat close. So, I said, surprised at how calm my voice sounded, the no gifts rule was flexible? Mom tilted her head. No one said you couldn't bring something small. Her eyes flicked down my sweater like I'd missed an unspoken dress code. Besides, she added, Rachel pays for so much during the year. Let her have her moment. Rachel laughed. Don't be dramatic, Jill. You know how sensitive you get. Dad smirked. You're overreacting. I looked at my kids. I wasn't going to cry in front of them. I wasn't going to argue over wrapping paper and rules that only applied to me. Coats, I said softly. My daughter slid her arm into her sleeve without a word. My son carefully placed the cookie tin back on the table, like it was fragile glass. Mom stepped forward. You're not leaving. Rachel grinned. Come on, it's not that deep. I opened the door. Cold air cut through the fake cinnamon. Merry Christmas, I said. I didn't slam the door, didn't raise my voice, didn't explain. We just walked into the frost. And as we descended the steps, I understood something I hadn't let myself name before. This didn't start tonight. It started years ago, in small moments I'd swallowed, in rules that bent around Rachel like halos, in love that came with math. That night wasn't the explosion. It was the quiet crack that finally reached the surface. If you think a night like that comes out of nowhere, you don't understand how families like mine work. They don't explode, they erode. By the time we pulled into our driveway, my kids were silent in the back seat. Evan turned on the seat warmers without asking. Warmth crept in slowly, the way truth does when it's already too late to deny it. Nobody blamed me. Nobody defended me either. That quiet, careful, polite was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I grew up in a house where money was a mood. When Dad was in a good one, bills took care of themselves. When he wasn't, a light left on felt like a personal attack. Mom's love came with math. We did so much for you, she'd say, and then hand me an invoice disguised as memory. Rachel was always the miracle. Loud, charismatic, the kind of kid teachers called a lot, and my mother translated as gifted. When calls came home about her energy, Mom laughed it off. When I brought home honor roll, she said, "Of course," and reminded me to stay quiet so Rachel could focus. At 17, I got a job washing dishes at a diner. Rachel used the car I'd saved for because her gas situation was complicated. At 19, I co-signed a student card so she could build credit. She built it like a bonfire. Late fees, cash advances, tears when Mom found the statement. You two figure it out, Mom said, sliding the bill across the table. I figured it out. I always did. Years later, Evan and I rented a small 2-bedroom with a window that whistled in winter. Our kids shared a room and thought it was camping. I worked operations for a medical group. Evan freelanced design and taught night classes. We lived within our means, sometimes under them. Every dollar had a job. The family group chat had other plans. Mom, Netflix is acting weird. Dad, ESPN login again? Rachel, can you add me to your Amazon? My card's being weird. Being weird meant maxed. I added them. It was easier than the fight. 30 here, 12 there, 90 once a year. A steady drip until the bucket was full. Rachel's jobs changed with the seasons. Sales, startups, a podcast phase where she talked about hustle culture from a couch I was paying internet for. Invest in me, she said once. We're family. I didn't invest. I did buy her kids school shoes when her husband texted me at 11 p.m. with emergency in all caps. The next morning, Mom posted a Facebook memory about how proud she was of her daughters. When Evan and I bought a used minivan, Dad smirked. Fancy. When Rachel leased a truck bigger than our kitchen, Dad grinned. You only live once. When we skipped a beach trip to fix a leaking sink, Mom asked why we were being so negative. 2 summers ago, Dad forgot the property taxes. He called me like a salesman, fast, friendly, urgent. We could lose the house. I set up a payment plan, sat with him at the kitchen table, showed him auto draft. He nodded through it like a tourist on a guided tour. Mom brought lemonade and told me I was a good daughter. A month later, I overheard her telling a neighbor she handled the whole thing herself. When their internet went out, my phone exploded. The TV says something about DHCP. I drove over. Evan stayed home with the kids. Bring milk, he texted. I crawled behind the entertainment center, dust in my mouth, cables tangled around my wrists. Rachel walked in mid-chaos with a 6-pack. What's up, nerds? She said. Dad laughed like a studio audience. I fixed it. Nobody said thank you. Mom asked if I could stay and help Rachel pick rug colors. Every December came with a new rule about gifts. No gifts the year Rachel switched jobs again. Only handmade the year her boutique folded. Secret Santa with a $20 limit after Dad's medical bills. And every time someone broke the rule, it wasn't me. Rachel showed up with designer scarves she'd found on sale. Dad rolled out a grill that needed its own cord. Mom gave Rachel something that looked suspiciously like the watch from the magazine ad. When I brought cookies and a framed photo of the grandkids, Mom called it thoughtful, then added, "It's not about money. It always was." The favors grew teeth. Rachel sent a payment request labeled Little Leak. Her husband texted, "Can you cover the field trip? They won't register without a card. Mine's being weird." My daughter missed a book fair once because our envelope got lost at school. That same night, I approved $240 for uniforms. When I tried to talk budgeting, Mom sighed. "Jill, stop counting. It's Christmas." Petty was their word for any line I tried to draw. When I said, "Please don't pass around my login," Dad laughed. "It's not nuclear codes." I changed the passwords, then changed them back after the flood of calls. The path of least resistance became a trench I kept digging. 2 weeks before that Christmas, Rachel posted a photo of her kids in a gaming store. "Big surprise coming," she wrote. Mom reacted with a heart like she was on payroll. In the group chat, Mom wrote, "No gifts this year, everyone." I typed, "Got it." Evan asked if I was okay with it. "I'm fine," I said. I was tired. I wanted quiet. Cocoa, board games, missing pieces. We baked cookies with the kids and packed them in a tin. They looked rough. They tasted perfect. I slept fine. Then we walked into my parents' living room, and my son learned what an iPhone looks like in a no-gifts year. He watched his cousin's hand close around a future he'd been told wasn't coming. My daughter hugged the cookie tin and tried not to cry, because crying makes Grandma say, dramatic. People think the worst part is the presents. It's not. It's the story around them. The way rules bend into circles that fit Rachel like halos. The way I'm treated like a ledger while they hold love. Back home, I set the cookie tin on the counter. The sprinkles looked like glitter bled across icing. My phone buzzed. "Mom, you were rude." "Mom, we were embarrassed." "Dad, grow up." Evan leaned against the counter beside me. "Say it," he said gently. "I'm done," I whispered. It wasn't loud. It felt like setting a book on a shelf. Soft. Final. In my family, you don't flip tables. You pull one thread and pretend you don't know the cloth will slide apart. After I whispered, "I'm done," I didn't storm off or slam cabinets. I rinsed the cookie tin and set it upside down on the rack like it had always belonged there. Evan poured hot water into a mug and handed it to me without asking what kind I wanted. He already knew. My phone buzzed again. A photo in the family group chat. Rachel's son holding the iPhone up like a trophy, 2 fingers raised. "Christmas miracle," the caption read. Rachel commented, "He deserves the best." Mom reacted with a heart. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Old reflex. Show Mom first. Ask permission without saying it. Evan reached over and covered my phone with his hand. "You don't need to explain," he said. "You've been explaining for 10 years. I opened the group chat anyway, not to ask, but to say, "Starting tonight, I'm ending every subscription, card, and payment in my name. Please update your own accounts. You have 24 hours to save anything important." I stared at the message for a full minute before sending it. Then I hit send. The whoosh was small, almost polite. I opened my bank app. My hands were steady. That surprised me. Netflix, family plan. HBO, family. ESPN, dad. Amazon Prime, shared. Cloud storage, Rachel's devices. A phone line I'd added for 1 month 3 years ago. My stomach tightened, but I didn't stop. Evan slid a notebook across the counter, a pen. "You already know the list," he said. I did. The carrier app asked, "Are you sure you want to remove this line?" Like a friend, double-checking. Yes, secondary users removed. Passwords changed. Household sharing turned off. Cards deleted. Notifications stacked like falling dominoes. The group chat exploded. Rachel, what are you doing? Mom, Jill, no. Dad, put it back. Rachel's husband, it's Christmas. I typed once. It's unsafe to share accounts. Handle your own. Rachel, wow, power trip. Mom, we'll talk tomorrow. I muted the chat. At midnight, I removed Rachel from the joint card. Shut off one-click ordering. Canceled forgotten subscriptions. Even Dad's old gym membership I'd been quietly paying. Reason, no longer useful. I wasn't angry. I felt aligned. At 6:03 a.m., the doorbell rang. 2 officers stood on the porch with my parents behind them. Mom was crying. Dad looked offended, like customer service had failed him. She's stealing services, Mom said. She threatened us, Dad added. I explained calmly that I'd stopped paying for accounts in my own name. The officer nodded. That's a civil matter. Mom whispered, it's Christmas. I said, go home. By noon, my phone was lighting up again. Rachel, my kids can't watch anything. Dad, ESPN is gone. Mom, you're humiliating us. Rachel, you're punishing my children. I'm feeding mine, I said aloud and didn't answer. Rachel called. I let it ring. She left a voicemail. You think you're better than us now? No, I said to the empty kitchen. I'm just done being your backup bank. Mom posted a long message online. We love our family, but this isn't how family acts. She attached a photo of the gift pile like evidence. I replied once in the chat. I will no longer share accounts, cards, or bills. Any help going forward will be discussed and agreed. No surprises, no guilt. Rachel typed, guess we know who you really are. Yes, I thought, finally. Then something unexpected happened. My aunt wrote, good for you, Jill. A cousin sent a thumbs up. My late uncle's wife typed, we did this last year. Best decision we ever made. The chat stuttered. Mom left the group. Rachel renamed it Family Without Traitors and left. The house went quiet. My kids built a pillow fort in the living room. Evan crawled in with them and sent me a photo, 3 heads in a row, grinning like they'd invented happiness. I saved it. Later, I opened a spreadsheet, not to patch leaks. This time, to add things back. Swimming lessons, boots for Evan, the library fundraiser, a weekend at the lake. I named the sheet Yes. Dad left a voicemail. Your mother is crying. Be a woman. I deleted it. By evening, the storm slowed. Mom posted a photo of a puzzle captioned, Making Our Own Fun. I didn't reply. We had movie night. Popcorn in a pot. An old animated film. The kids shushed me when I laughed at a cancellation email. Later, Evan asked, what happens now? I said, we keep our money. We keep our hours. Next Christmas, we'll be out of town. A few days later, Mom texted, are we still invited to the recital? I wrote back, yes, please don't bring gifts. Just be on time. She replied with a single word, fine. The house felt different almost immediately. Not louder, not happier in some dramatic movie ending way, just lighter. It was the absence that did it. The quiet left behind by things that had always been there. Alerts, requests, tiny emergencies that weren't emergencies at all. My phone stopped buzzing with, can you check this? And it's acting weird and just for now. The silence wasn't empty. It was spacious. The kids noticed first. They didn't say anything about subscriptions or screens. They just stopped asking if it was okay to want things. My daughter asked if she could take swimming lessons like her friend. My son asked if we could go to the lake again, the one with the dock that creaked when you walked on it. Yes, I said to both. I didn't check a balance first. Evan watched me from the doorway one morning as I packed lunches. You're humming, he said. I hadn't realized I was. The budget was honest now. No secret drains, no invisible obligations. When money left our account, it went somewhere we could see, somewhere we chose. Rachel didn't disappear. She just moved to a distance that felt intentional instead of forced. She posted vague quotes online about betrayal and loyalty, about people who confuse boundaries with cruelty. Her friends commented with flame emojis and validation. Her kids still called to ask if they could come over and build forts. We said yes. Our door wasn't a bank. It was still a door. Mom tried a different tactic. No accusations this time. No long messages. Just small, careful reach-outs. Are you busy? Hope the kids are well. Like she was testing ice she didn't trust anymore. When she came to the recital, she arrived on time. She didn't bring gifts. She clapped too loud and cried anyway. Progress doesn't always look like an apology. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Dad stayed quiet longer. When he finally called, his voice was tired, less commanding. I don't understand why you had to do it like that, he said. I did it the only way you'd hear, I replied. He didn't argue. Rachel never apologized. She didn't have to for me to move on. Because the truth settled in slowly, the way peace does when it's earned. I hadn't taken anything from them. I'd just stopped giving what they were never entitled to. One night, my son asked why he liked cardboard boxes more than toys. Because you get to decide what they are, he said, serious as a philosopher. I thought about that long after he went to bed. I grew up believing love was something you proved, with small payments, with inconvenience, with silence. That if I didn't pay, I didn't belong. I was wrong. Love doesn't invoice you. Love doesn't keep score. Love doesn't require you to disappear so someone else can shine. The house is quieter now. The budget makes sense. And when my kids ask for hot chocolate with extra marshmallows, I say yes, without wondering who else might need something more. Because I finally learned the difference between generosity and surrender. And I'm done paying for respect.